God and the covenant. Something was broken. Some promises were forgotten. And that's why the Israelites took upon themselves the curses of some old vows that they breached, and God allowed them to be exiled for 70 years in Babylon. It was time to renew those vows. Chapter 10 in Nehemiah is about renewing their agreement with God. Let's talk about that today.
After completing the restoration of the city walls, the people of Jerusalem experienced very deep spiritual moments. Reading from the Word of God, rediscovering their identity, humility, confession, praying and worshiping their forgiving God. Now they are coming together to rededicate themselves, to renew their vows in the relationship, to re-establish a covenant with God. It's interesting to know that while the Jews separated themselves from the rest to apologize to God for theirs and their ancestors' infidelity, now they are joined by everyone else. Nehemiah says, all who separated themselves from the neighboring people for the sake of the law of God, they all came together for a big commitment.
The idea of an agreement between God and man, or as the lesson calls it, a covenant with God, is firstly found in Genesis in the first 3 chapters. It's intertwined in the story of sin, where God enters into agreement with Adam and Eve so that they're not going to eat from the tree in the middle of the garden, and He will remain their God and sustain their life indefinitely. Oh boy, did they disobey God? Did they breach their promises and their agreement with God? Yes, they did. And God sent them out of the garden. He cursed the ground. He cursed the produce. He cursed every child birthed with pain for every woman. Harsh consequences for breaking the covenant with God.
Sin is an act of separation. Humanity broke with God. But God's commitment to His creations didn't break. He put everything in efforts to find people open to the relationship. God promised to take great care of those who remain committed to the relationship. Unfortunately, commitment is not the strongest human quality.
And here is the place in the lesson where it's good to mention that there hasn't been only one covenant made between God and people. The first one started with Adam, then Noah, then Abraham, with Moses and the Israelites, with Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, with David, and then the New Testament, the New Covenant through Jesus Christ. The lesson points out that every following covenant brought our understanding for the everlasting covenant deeper and deeper. However, all of those covenants had the same components, and it consisted of sanctification, reconciliation, mission, and justification. And as you can see, there is a lot of spiritual value found in agreement or in a covenant with God.
We bring a lot of baggage into the relationship. The separation from God is destroying everything good, noble, and valuable. These big words, sanctification, justification, reconciliation, mission, they're all about God fixing the damage, restoring us, preparing us to get back home.
For a building to stand, it needs a structure. In the same manner, for an agreement, contract, or covenant to have a lasting existence, it needs a structure. In ancient Israel, a covenant consisted of first, preamble, which explained who God is. Second came the historical prologue, which was determining the relationship between the two parties, God and people. Third came the laws and the stipulations, then the blessings and the curses, then there were witnesses, and at the end there were some special provisions. The structure made it very easy for all the people to understand their agreement with God. It was very plain and straightforward, and it was directed to each and every individual regardless of their socioeconomic status, education, or origin. Finally, thanks to the structure, an active attitude was inflamed that empowered people to live up to their promises.
It was meant to make sense to the people, something that they can relate to, understanding each party's part in the commitment. And most of all, they wanted to say, we are serious about it, God. We understand our weaknesses, we are conscious of our faults, but we commit and we want to be accountable.
It's interesting what the Israelites pledged to God as a sign of a commitment to the covenant. It was a reflection of their new understanding of their relationship with God. One of the pledges was, first, no more mixed marriages. Second, true Sabbath observance. Third, debt cancellation and sabbatical year observance as a care for the poor. And fourth, financial support for the temple and its services. This generation that came back from Babylon knew well what was broken in the past by their forefathers, namely their interpersonal relationships and their relationship with God. They wanted to rebuild what was in ruins. They wanted to have what was lost in the past. They chose to have a mission because they believed there is a Messiah to come. It was a new beginning, and it was a restored relationship.
They promised some very specific and practical things, which, yes, it shows that they understood the pitfalls and didn't want to repeat history. Also, they wanted to make more than the bare requirement. It came from them. They decided this, pledging to take care of the temple. The temple, with its ceremonies, was testifying about the character of God, His sacrifice and His salvation, and they give it first priority. They committed some very practical things and took a proactive initiative to make sure that things will be done properly. It deserves some time for us to spend personally reflecting on our commitment to God. How serious, how thoughtful and real it is.
Next week, we will continue with the lesson Trials, Tribulations, and Lists